Welcome to a new video. I hope you had an amazing day. Let's take a look at some news stories, shall we? The first story is called "Beards Are Now Banned." Many years ago, I worked for a large government agency at a very large penitentiary. Beards were allowed and many of us grew them. Every November, most of the males would grow a beard and we'd donate to a male-themed charity. After the economic crash in 2008, our staffing levels filled up and the administrators rolled out some stupid rules, including banning beards. Some of my co-workers had Viking-level beards, and when they shaved, they had a tan line. But there was one loophole. If you had a doctor's note with a documented skin condition, then you were allowed a neatly trimmed beard not to exceed a quarter inch. I was at a doctor's appointment for an unrelated reason and was telling him about the new policy. My doctor was a family friend and asked me if I'd ever had so much as a single ingrown hair or shaving bump. I said of course, and he gave me a note authorizing facial hair. My boss pressed me to provide an exact skin condition while scrutinizing my note. I told him that it's not his business and it's a violation of my privacy to ask such a question. I told him to contact my doctor with questions and I grew my beard. My boss relented because healthcare privacy in government jobs is a big scary topic and the battle wasn't worth it to him, I suppose. The work environment quickly became more toxic as supervisors would constantly card you if you had a beard. We were issued laminated cards with a 1-year expiration date. Not only that, they'd also constantly gripe if your beard looked longer than a quarter inch. I fought back with a tiny bit of malicious compliance. One day when I arrived at work, I plucked a hair from my face. I went and pulled out a ruler. I neatly laid my single hair on the copy machine with the ruler next to it and made a photocopy. I took the photocopy that showed my hair length of precisely a quarter inch next to the ruler and I scanned it and shrunk the copy down to the size of a driver's license. I then laminated it, punched a hole in it, and added it to my lanyard with my government ID and my facial hair waiver. Anytime I got carded for my beard, I would also pull out my mini measurement card as a form of extra compliance. The angry, yet helpless, looks I got from petty managers was worth it. Eventually, the humor faded and then beards were allowed again a year later. But that was my one moment in the sun. The next story is called "They Know Best." I work in a hospital, in the catering area to be more specific. Making the food for the patients, delivering it to the wards, cleaning the place up, all that good stuff. There are a bunch of 5-foot-tall metal trolleys we use to deliver the food. The food is put into the trolley and the trolley is attached to the heater to cook. There are 2 main meals we do per day, one at 12 and another at about 5. We send up menus with the morning deliveries and collect them in the afternoon for the next day. Our tale begins here. One of the patients is on a ward. He sent down 2 menus, with everything ticked. Everything. On both his normal menu and one of the special poor appetite menus. This would have equaled over 40 meals for this one gentleman alone. Obviously, aware an error might have happened, we went up to talk to the staff. It seemed that his family had filled out his menu for him whilst visiting because the poor old bloke could barely talk. But, to make sure there were no allergies we needed to know about, we called the family up and asked them about the meal. Their response to the simply absurd amount of food? With a nasal whine, "We're his family. We know best. If he isn't fed properly, we shall complain." They were so busy whining about the fact we even had the temerity to ask, they readily accepted our conditions, that if it wasn't eaten, they would pay. They didn't seem to realize just how much stuff they ordered. And the game was on. We needed to fill up an entire trolley, one of which usually feeds an entire ward, with all the extra meals his family had ordered. Everything he had ticked, from syrup sponge and custard pudding to omelets, a full roast dinner, ice creams, yogurts, every single meal we could make from his family's demands. It took 5 members of the ward staff, who should have been doing other jobs, simply to carry his trays over to him and place them on a row of tables. And we informed his family that whatever food wasn't eaten at the end would be charged to them as excessive wastage of food. And, unfortunately for them, we run on protected mealtimes, so they couldn't enter the ward and help. The poor bloke had a banana and a macaroni cheese. We ended up charging the family for roughly £100 worth of food. The third story is called "Need to Know My Password?" I bought my first computer when I was about 17 years old, about 20 years ago. Being more of a gamer than the rest of my family, I wanted a PC instead of a Mac. Very early on, I realized that my sisters wanted to use my computer and so I put my computer on password protection. At the same time, my sister was working at a data entry job and was offered the opportunity for some extra pay if she worked from home, which she wanted to do. The only issue was that she needed to use a PC as the software her work used could only be used on a PC. My parents basically told me that my sister was going to be using my computer regardless of whether I wanted her to or not. I was pretty annoyed as there was nothing in it for me. As I used a common password for most of my stuff, the last thing I wanted to do was to let my sister know my password. So I changed it to something that I knew would not only make her angry when I told it to her, but something that would not get me in trouble. Now that the scene is set, here we go. She said, "I need to use your computer." Fine. What's your password? I'm not going to tell you. You have to tell me, Mum and Dad said. I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to get Dad if you don't tell me. Okay, so she goes and gets my dad. I hear him yell up the stairs. I told you to tell your sister the password to your computer. What is it? I'm not going to tell you. I hear him talk to my sister. I think that's the password. Yes, I changed my password to, I'm not going to tell you. Other passwords I used were, go away, stop bothering me, and, you can't use it. She only worked at the job for a year and thankfully she didn't have to use my computer that much. The last story is called, She Wants Appointment Only. I've been dating this girl for some time now, and our time together on weekdays is rather spontaneous and casual. After work, I'd call her to find out where she is and whether she had time for me, then I'd go to her to spend time fooling around at her rental apartment, go for dinner together, grocery shopping, etc. There were never any complaints about this from her, until one day when we got into an argument about an unrelated matter. She accuses me of having no respect for her and her time, because I always call her at the last minute, and expect her to make time for me. She declares that I'm causing her a lot of inconveniences because she can never make any plans on weekday evenings since she doesn't know if I have time for her on any given weekday. Going forward, she's going to reject all plans that weren't made at least 24 hours in advance. She's a busy girl after all. I was shocked. This was never my intention. The nature of my work means that I have to do an unknown amount of overtime every day. What I've been doing is to call her at 6 when she gets off work, to give her an estimate of when I will finish, and when I can reach wherever she is. I can only get a reliable estimate at around 5 when my bosses leave for home. What this means is that if I have to give her a 24-hour heads up, I can never make any weekday commitments. So I appeal to her, with the argument that she doesn't have to keep her weekday evenings free for me. She can go ahead and make her own plans, and just turn me down if she already has something else scheduled. She rejects that argument because of reasons. Now, my girlfriend is a foreigner, in my country on a work visa. She has no family and few friends here. As a result, she gets lonely and wants to spend as much time together as possible. Under my previous method of meeting her spontaneously, I can be with her 4 weekdays every week on average. If I'm required to give her a 24-hour advance notice, I can meet her 0 weekdays every week. So that's exactly what I did. The day after, I made no plans with her. I let her know when I'm off work, then told her I'm going home. I didn't make plans with her for the next day either. I can tell she's getting mad because she's giving very curt replies to my attempts at small talk, but I don't care. I went straight home and gamed for the first time in 6 months. It was glorious. I used to be a hardcore gamer, gaming at least 2 hours every day, but had to give it up because she required a lot of attention. This went on for a few days until Saturday finally arrives. I paid for my act of defiance dearly that weekend, but she rescinded the stupid rule, and we were back to how we were before by the following week. The problem is already resolved. This incident happened 6 months ago. She admitted that she was being unreasonable, and rescinded the rule. I paid dearly that weekend because the way I handled it was poor. This particular issue did not become a problem again. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider subscribing to the channel for more content. Let me know what you think about the stories in the comment section below. Have a great day. Bye bye.